And FaithWire.com's Dan Andros is joining us now with more on this story. So Dan, as we said, millions have watched this woman's appeal and can feel her raw emotions and frustrations. What is she and others now facing with the lockdowns in Los Angeles and other parts of California?
Yeah, well, we're seeing increased lockdowns across the country, but it's probably none more pronounced than in California, where she was already, this restaurant owner you just watched, was already facing restrictions from countywide measures that ban things such as indoor and outdoor dining. And then the mayor of Los Angeles, who she mentioned in that clip, Eric Garcetti, said it's, quote, time to cancel everything. And in his ban, he mentioned that he would ban all forms of travel. That included walking on foot, bicycle, scooter, motorcycle, taking all forms of public transportation. So these are extreme measures. People are extremely frustrated about that because as you see a woman like this who's just trying to keep her small business going, and then she comes out and sees that there is an exception being made. And so people are looking at this and wondering, well, is this virus like knowing which businesses that it should attack and not attack? I mean, how are these exceptions being made? And clearly this frustration is resonating across the country. A GoFundMe has been launched to help her in her restaurant, the Pineapple Hill Saloon, and she has received over $100,000 in donations so far. They were only asking for $10,000 in the post, and it's been $100,000 or more, and that's from thousands of people across the country. So clearly people are fed up with seeing and living with these sorts of strict measures.
Churches are also being advised to close while other businesses are being allowed to remain open. Take us inside this divide here.
Yeah, I mean, it's really something else because among the restrictions are indoor worship services are being restricted in California. And, people are watching the Governor Gavin Newsom, and he was asked by reporters, including reporters from the Associated Press, what is the science to back up some of these measures? And he really ducked and dodged the question and didn't provide actual science because that's usually the bludgeon that a lot of these politicians use. Is they just say, well, it's the science. Well, somebody asked him to provide the science, and he kind of dodged the question and didn't really give any answers as to show why are big box stores not spreading the virus, and yet these small mom and pop stores are. You had Neil Gorsuch called out this hypocrisy. He said that it's past time to make plain that while the pandemic poses many grave challenges, there's no world in which the Constitution tolerates color-coded executive or edicts that reopen liquor stores and bike shops, but shutters churches and synagogues. So he's pointing out this seemingly arbitrary standard that these politicians are using. And then Governor Gavin Newsom himself, after he told people not to go anywhere and not to dine outdoors, was caught famously going to a fancy lunch where he was indoors with lots of people sitting close with no masks. So people are starting to really get frustrated, and we may see this boil over soon.
Dan, looking at FaithWire.com, there's also a story of an 11-year-old committing suicide during a Zoom class in California. What does this say about the stress brought on about reporting and management of the pandemic now?
Yeah, and there's no details on. I mean, obviously it's a suicide, and you don't know exactly what the reasons are. But he was on a Zoom class. He was, remote learning in California, and so a horribly tragic event here, regardless of the circumstances. But these are some of the worries that people have. When it comes to the effects of what we're doing with these restrictions and reducing human interaction. We just don't know the severity of what we're doing mentally to people, and what is the human toll that this is taking on all these lockdowns. So, people are really concerned that we're just scratching the surface on what we're about to see on that front.